Hi, everyone, and welcome to the English show. My name is Stephanie Matza, accompanied by my very tropical, very insightful partner, Gil Brito.
Thank you so much, Stephanie. Thank you. Thank you. Welcome all. We are in the English show, episode number...
I think it's 4.
4.
I was about to ask you, and I hesitated.
Oh my God,
now.
5.
Episode 5. Thank you.
Wow,
Thank you,
sorry.
team. All right, so episode 5 of the English show, where you guys know we have our Spanish show where we do live Q&A and we answer questions live. And the idea was to bring that format back to English. So continue to tell your friends and let them subscribe, and we'll be answering live questions. And today we're also going to be covering a hot topic, which is F-1 to O-1. And so we'll have a little bit of the F-1 O-1 conversation, and then we'll do a little bit of live Q&A as far as your immigration questions.
Sounds good.
That's what you're thinking?
Yep.
Okay,
Sounds
fabulous. Good. Let's go. All righty. What do we want to start with?
Sorry. I'm on the move.
Fabulous.
I'm on the move. And I'm doing
Here's the thing. We have to discuss this because there's been a lot of changes. So we want to give you options. And so especially a lot of those people who are coming to the US, who are coming to study, and ultimately after their studies, they're saying, okay, what can I do? O-1 has always been a phenomenal option, but now that H-1B is becoming a bit of a lesser option, we want to really focus on O-1. You can look at our past episode, which was episodes 3 and 4, where we go ahead and talk about how you could do an O-1 instead of an H-1B. So now we're going to talk about how that process is if you're studying in the US in order to build an O-1 case. Wow.
Sorry. Where'd you go?
Where did you go?
I'm here.
Okay. Well, I'm somewhere. That's fine.
Can we get Stephanie on there too? Or this is a one slide? This is a one slide. There you go.
There I am.
There you go. There you go. So F1 to O-1. Yes, it's possible. Okay. Yes, it's possible. So I would say a top question I receive, it's like, listen, I'm a student. I talked to 3 other lawyers.
They said nothing could be done.
They said there's no way I could do this case. Not disagreeing with them. Maybe it's difficult. Maybe it's not easy. Maybe no, I know, but maybe for that individual, it's not the exact moment in time. I would say there's generally a fear of students thinking that they don't qualify. I do believe that you can make yourself qualify if you don't qualify. Like if you don't qualify today, you could qualify in 6 months. But it's really about talking about, hey, how do I get there? Talk to us a little bit about that. So I'm a student. What are some things I could do as a student to really improve my chances?
Like I say, okay, so first, idea number 1 would be speak to the immigration attorney prior to your graduation or shortly thereafter your graduation, because you're likely going to obtain what's called OPT. And OPT permits you to obtain work authorization and work in the US. And whatever we are going to do to build a case for the future, you want to do it during your OPT period. For the majority of people, the OPT period is only going to be 1 year in duration. So that means if you talk to us right as your OPT is starting, you have a full year to work on all this homework that we're already going to give you. But basically at that moment in time, once you have the consultation with us, it would be more personalized, and you have a year to gather that information. So that's when you already want to start thinking about that.
So you're talking about before OPT commences,
shortly thereafter commencement.
You really have a plan that's structured.
Exactly.
I think the most important thing for somebody, once you have that work authorization, is start working.
Yeah.
Start taking, if you can, leadership roles. That's incredible. Anything that gets you any type of recognition. Obviously, if you have opportunities for things like press, or let's just be honest, anything that's published about you, by you, with your picture. I don't love just social media type of stuff. I'm more traditional in how I approach my cases, but I wouldn't mind sprinkling in some really important posts in there from social media, things that are of consequence. If you're a content creator, Stephanie, and you're creating a whole bunch of content on social media, even if you're on your OPT, and let's just say you're working with brands, for example, is a good example. The bigger the brands, the more work you could do, the more posts you could do. Let's look at the actual analytics. Let's look at the numbers themselves. And I just think that's a great tip, which is, hey, get to work.
Utilize the OPT period.
Yeah.
Because I think, to your point, which is a lot of attorneys may say, hey, listen, there's nothing to be done except H-1B. they don't really have faith that you're going to do the homework that you need to. But we see it because we see it every single day
Yes.
of people who are able to put together a case in a year of work experience.
You could just 6 months. You could, like, for me, if somebody tells me, hey, I expire in 90 days, and the case is not fantastic, I'm telling them generally, hey, we could work with you. However, you're going to have to extend that I-20 probably and get yourself more time, or you're going to be potentially encroaching in that grace period time, which isn't advisable because you're not going to have work authorization during that time. It's not a great time for clients that are in the grace period waiting an immigration decision. So my suggestion is obviously to already have a plan in place beforehand. Ideally, I have 6 months.
Exactly.
I feel that in 6 months, we could do some good work together. We could definitely build, one point here we're talking about, it's like, listen, the most important thing obviously is your prior jobs and try to leverage all that. But listen, let's talk about like awards. So we deal with a lot of students that have awards. Generally, you're going to hear something to the effect that student awards are not useful for cases. I would say not necessarily true. Okay. I would say not necessarily true. I don't like to include scholarships and things of this nature. I don't find that very interesting. What I find more interesting is if you, went ahead and were selected for a Cannes Lion Film Festival. Okay. And you're part of, like, it's Cannes. It's Cannes. I'm sorry. Yeah. It's Cannes. Okay. So it's the biggest film festival in the world and has the most notoriety. So absolutely, even though it is a student film project or a film project that you did during the time that you were on an F-1 visa, I think there's a good argument to be made to use that award. I generally will use those awards. This is my biggest piece of advice. Just because you're a student doesn't mean you cannot be using those projects to go ahead and be submitted into professional competitions, film festivals, things of this nature. So like, you got to think outside the box a little bit. Don't hold yourself back by only doing things at the university level. Go ahead and do it at a professional level, especially people that already have bachelor's degrees. Right. So if you're studying your master's, your doctorate, whatever, it's like you're a professional. You're at a different level compared to like a student that's in their first year of their bachelor's degree. You understand? And
that's exactly the point I was about to make, because a lot of these awards, like the Clio awards for my like motion designers,
yes,
the DNAD awards, they have student categories and they have regular categories. Do not pigeonhole yourself into exclusively the student category. Put your project into the professional category, because at the end of the day, at worst, I have a nomination. At best, I have an award. There are many film festivals that have a student category. Submit yourself to the regular one, because who knows if you get an official selection. Personally, for me, an official selection in the regular film festival has more weight than an award in the student film
I think if you're
category.
an official selection at a professional film festival, I'm not talking about Berlin or something like that. I'm talking maybe smaller. It could be a smaller.
The one we do a lot is LA Shorts.
Okay,
common.
Great. Yeah. Anything like that. Like, don't miss out on that opportunity. Exactly. That's a very good. Let's switch gears. We're talking a little bit there, O-1B, right? Let's talk O-1A a little bit. You have like the potential to have judging.
Correct.
Okay. That's a great. So judging is not an O-1B category. It is an O-1A category. Think of anything that is not technically in the field of arts. Okay. That has any type of judging. Let me just say, you're a university professor. Maybe you're, an adjunct professor, maybe outside the US. And now you've done work in the past in the form of being a thesis judge, for example. Hopefully, if you're a researcher, somebody like that, you're part of some organization when you're maybe on a judging committee for papers that are accepted into the publication. There's a lot of ways that you could get judging.
For individuals who are coming off of an F-1 as a master's degree, they likely participated as a peer reviewer.
Yes.
So if you were a peer reviewer on peer-reviewed journals, that counts for judging, which is an O-1A category. If possible, I'd like you to have participated as a peer reviewer at least 2 or 3 times, not just once, but once technically is sufficient. But peer reviewer could very well fall into this category, and it's something common for our students.
Yes. So think about all those opportunities you have to join a club, an organization, all those opportunities you have to, hey, I'm going to be, there's this professional organization in the US as part of my career path, become a member, get involved in the committees. Okay, get involved in the annual conference if you can. All these things I think are going to be a net positive for a case. Jumping really quick into what I believe the most important O-1A category is lead and critical role for an organization.
Absolutely.
Okay, that for me is absolutely must win. If you're an O-1A and you never performed a lead and critical role for a company, for a project, for an institution, for an organization, for whatever. So if you did not, if you have not done that, I think it's a hard sell to win an O-1A.
So, okay. So for instance, so how do I get around that? Because I'm a student, I don't have much experience. How do I handle that? Potentially go for organizations versus private companies. Becoming the CEO of a private company is very difficult, but becoming the vice president of this, NGO, or this society, or this foundation, or this group, or a director of maybe a foundation that you helped found, that's going to be a little easier. So don't go with your sights towards becoming, in private practice, the CEO. Go for something more attainable. Maybe I've seen ones that are like, oh, this competitive group for engineers, or which one I've seen? Forbes Business Council. So Forbes Business Council, I'm lying. That's more to membership. I'm gonna retract that. That's more to membership. That's a really good membership category. For lead and critical role, think of like societies in your street, like the Society of Engineering of your state or your city or your organization, and you're like the director or the vice president. That's gonna be more attainable, I think, than actual work in private practice.
How about a student organization that is an international organization or on a national level here in the US?
And you're the chapter.
And you're the chapter president, you're the vice president. So who could perform a lead and critical role for a company or an organization? Think if I'm looking at an organizational chart, and let's just say there's 3 levels. I don't want to be on the bottom level and argue that. I want to be at least in the mid tier and ideally on the top tier. If there's an opportunity to serve in an executive board, anything of this nature, I think all of a sudden you're taking your case from 0 to 100. And it's advisable to seek out all those opportunities that may come your way as a student.
I'm going to drop a real quick question here because it relates to what we're going towards. Emma Morticia asks us, can student hackathon judging help, and how do I document those invites? So I'm going to put 2 points here, Emma. Number 1, the invite itself is not sufficient. You actually have to participate as a judge. So that goes for both O-1, EB-1. You actually have to do it. And number 2, it's, for instance, the email communications inviting you to participate in the hackathon, and then maybe screen grabs of when you're actually participating, and then the thank you letter at the end. That's the clear point of evidence. The thank you letter at the end that says, thank you for participating as judge, or simply a letter that says, we hear and confirm that Emma participated as a judge in this hackathon on this date. We invited her because she is exceptional at, ethical hacking, and she's very well known because of this. You have to put the reason as to why you were invited, because that is also something relevant. They want to know that you were invited because you're considered someone worthy in this industry.
That's true.
And it doesn't speak for itself.
Yes. Going to just backtrack a little bit and talking about, you're doing all these things, you're super involved. You need to document it, right? So I just think a very good tip is keeping an evidence log. Like, I think that's just a good idea. Like, what do I mean by that? I'm talking about everything you do, just keep it on a log for the O-1 visa. Just be like, hey, Google Docs, Google Drive, whatever, you use in your life, go ahead and just start taking notes and be like, on this day, I participated in this event. This is the contact person that I need to ask for a confirmation email or a letter from in the future. Here goes, I did this, I did that. Oh, you know what? This is the thing. A lot of people think that things are not important. But then I take a look at that. If everybody did an evidence log for me, that would be incredible.
Oh, incredible.
You know what I'm saying? That's incredible. Basically, what I do initially is almost get an evidence log out of you. That's kind of when I do my initial analysis on a case. But if you're keeping this throughout your collegiate years, and even, again, and I want to highlight something, we're focusing in on things you're doing in the US. These could be a lot of things that you did outside of the US. So a lot of people think because I did it outside the US, maybe not during the time that I'm in college right now, this is not going to be useful for a case. Yes, it will be useful if it hits one of those categories, if it's especially things like awards or press or anything like that. I think it's fantastic to include that in the case.
And then ultimately it's keep the Google Drive as well, in addition to the log, and go uploading the actual evidence. So let's say you were a speaker in an event and you have the flyer. Save the flyer as a PDF, save it to that Google Drive already, because this is ultimately things you're going to have to gather anyway. It's great to do it as you go because it's going to make your life so much easier once you're closer to your OPT end date and you want to go ahead and provide us all that documentation, right? So it's just like have the evidence in PDF format already documented.
Yes. If your case is documented, leave yourself at least 4 months of OPT time to prepare a case and if possible to file a case. That's advisable. Just a couple little other, things that are happening. Maybe on campus you have like you're the leader of a meetup, a webinar. How about there's a student incubator on campus for business school, for example, and you're part of that, and listen, a lot of those people that are involved in these programs, they're going to be huge businesses and they're going to be great contacts for you anyways for your professional life. Let's use it for the visa as well to get expert letters for us, to get maybe even letters of recommendation, maybe potential future job offers.
Right.
You're going to find it by really participating and taking advantage of everything on campus, right?
Speaking engagements, flyers, opportunities to do TEDx, TED Talks.
Love TED Talks.
They're fantastic.
Love TED
so like
Talks.
any opportunities that you have to have like a speaking engagement, that goes to show what immigration is ultimately looking for, which is you are a person who's known in your industry. That is the way to do it.
Would you say that a good strategy for an O-1 applicant is to do things that make you feel uncomfortable?
Yeah, absolutely. But here's the thing. It's so funny because we speak to these people and our clients are like, oh, I was invited to do that, but I didn't.
Yeah.
And you're like,
because they're like, maybe they're a little embarrassed by it. Maybe they're just like, they're not into that.
It's awful.
Yeah.
But you have to step outside the comfort zone. How many people have I been like, wow, you have such an incredible career, but you've always been so behind the scenes that I can't really do anything yet. And they're like, oh, wow, now I actually have to put my name to the face. I have to put the face to the name. And it requires stepping out of the bubble a little bit.
Yeah. And just a little housekeeping, so, okay, you're considering, this is important at the beginning of the O-1 process while you're considering all these things. Also consider who's going to be your visa sponsor. Also consider the type of work you want to be doing in the future. Are you going to be employed strictly by a company? It's more of a W-2 type of role. Do you want to work more in a freelance capacity? Can your O-1 be freelance? Okay. What does that mean? O-1A is going to always be tied to an employer. Basically, no arts. Okay. That's going to be tied to an employer and that employer is offering you a job offer. I'm not one to scrutinize between like, W-2, this, that. It's at the end of the day.
Just get paid.
Yeah. It's just like, as long as you're getting paid and you're employed at this company, I mean, that's fine. The issue is a lot of people don't want that. They want to have, but it has to be a traditional self-employed field.
Correct.
Okay. For example, actors, musicians, authors, speakers. Okay. Technically sometimes athletes as well are kind of self-employed, but they're still going to plug you into O-1A with anything athletic. So anything artistic, I could do an O-1B. Anything arguably arts in nature,
creative in nature,
including culinary arts. Including executive chefs and the food industry. Like we do that all the time. O-1B, giving you the flexibility to jump from job to job, being able to work with multiple projects. So this is something I think students need to start considering much earlier on in the process than they think. Okay. One thing I always tell people is like, listen, obviously we need the sponsor. We need some future offers if it's an O-1B. So those are things you need to really start working on from day one.
Right. Absolutely. Let's see. I had a nice little question here, which was, if I start an industry podcast on F-1 and interview recognized leaders, can it help my O-1 and how should I document it? So the idea will be, I'm removing it just because of the location. So I love the concept of creating this industry podcast. You are permitted to do it on F-1. I'm not opposed to utilizing things you did while you were a student.
Do you believe that's unauthorized employment?
That's what I was going to. It's just, I don't think it's unauthorized employment because at the end of the day, this was a hobby that he was doing. And this is ultimately something that he's gaining.
Yeah.
He's not getting paid for it.
I'm on the fence. I'm on the fence.
I would include it.
And I'm not saying not to include it. I'm on the fence if that's unauthorized employment or not. I'm going, okay, so there's this document called the Foreign Affairs Manual, where the Foreign Affairs Manual says that anything that's done as a tourist, not a student, as a tourist, anything that potentially benefits your career, regardless of the fact if you're receiving money or not. Have you? That's strictly as a tourist. As we've seen this week, Stephanie, things that are for the Department of State are being applied by USCIS. We could talk about that towards the end.
And I got one just now that you're going to love to hear.
Oh, geez. So yeah, we've been seeing already. I mean, it's Tuesday and we've already been hit hard.
I think both of my eyebrows are about to collapse.
So but you know, kind of just going back to our point a little bit, the idea is like, I would probably use that podcast because it's going to be interesting for the case. Okay. And I wouldn't leave it. I would probably and potentially use that podcast as a future job offer as well.
Nice.
That could also just get somebody that's going to be producing it with you.
And to your point, let's file the O-1 case during or near the end of the OPT period so that the podcast was not only done on the F-1, it was also done on the OPT.
I'm talking about OPT.
It blurs the lines a little bit, you know?
As long as most of those things are arguably during OPT, I think it's okay. And it you know, obviously you can't be employed if you don't have work authorization.
Right.
Like that's obvious, right? But aside from that, you know, you do different things. A lot of people use social media, they use YouTube, they use, you know, any of these platforms like Spotify to do podcasts, to do, you know, readings, whatever it is, whatever they're into. Can that develop into a case? Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
So to his point that he was asking, how should I document it? When you're talking about podcasts and success of a podcast, you do want to show the amount of listeners, truly. You want to show potentially any advertisements. So any brands that potentially are paying you guys in order to advertise during your podcast. You're going to want to show the importance of the recognized leaders. And if you could get press about the show, about the podcast, that would be great. As in, you get a press article in your home country that says like, you know, I don't know what the name is. Gil is right now interviewing a bunch of people, recognized leaders, and maybe that's even a mini interview with you about how your experience has been interviewing these people. So those are kind of the types of things you want to focus on.
You know, I kind of want to hit the questions a little bit, if that's okay with you.
That's what I was doing.
I'm going to hit the question. Yeah, but we just have some good questions here, and I want to go. Thank you, Cruz. Cruz is always with us. Cruz, sorry, no Alexis today. I understand you got me. Thanks for the wonderful show. Always learning. Thank you. Great question by Elias. Does the company doing the petition for O-1 need to be solid, have employees, etc.? Okay. If that company is sponsoring you and you're going to be an employee of that company, you may run into the situation where USCIS may ask you, show me the ability to pay the proffered salary, whatever the salary was. They're almost kind of treating it very similar to an H-1B. So can they do that? Yeah, they can. I have seen it, not very frequently though. I would say that's not a typical thing. A bigger company always helps a weaker case. What do I mean by that? If your case is a little bit weak, documentary speaking, the evidence isn't super strong, but the employer is phenomenal. It's a great employer. That cures a lot of problems in a case. Okay. So I could tell you this, when we do visas for major companies, I could tell you, name any major production company that we've done a visa for, or like, you know, this is all top of your head production company. I could tell you, Stephanie, that 99.9% of the time that case is going to be approved. Okay. Because the employer is so good. If the employer's medium or weaker, it's still okay. It just means maybe you got to do a little bit of better job showing kind of your career as well. There's always going to be this idea. Why does a weaker company need somebody of O-1 visa caliber? What do you think?
I was not listening to you.
So
you knew
like I was saying, Stephanie is doing
you knew I wasn't listening to you.
Stephanie just improved her Tinder profile. And if you want to find her.
Not yet.
All right. So
no, I was gonna tell you.
Okay. No, but my point there is, yes, Elias, if it's a better petitioner, I think you have a good opportunity. If it's a company, if it's an individual, obviously it does not matter. Anything about that individual, they could serve as your visa sponsor for an O-1B. Great question.
All righty. Now we're back on. You'll see a note that I sent you. Okay, so let's see. Realistically, Emma asked us, real talk, when is O-1 realistic for a student so I don't waste my time? Emma, we do a ton of O-1s for students. I don't want you to think this is unrealistic. No, I can't speak to percentages, but a lot of the cases that we do are F-1 student to O-1. It's incredibly common. Again, it's preparing yourself and gathering the evidence and putting together the case in order to have a strong case once you apply for the O-1. But it is not in any sense of the word unrealistic. You can develop the profile you need within 6 to 8 months. You can certainly do so. Yeah, we do it all the time.
All the time. Well, that's why we're doing the show.
Yeah.
Because we do it all the time. Kelly, I'm sorry. Our asylum case in Australia was denied. Sorry to hear that. We got a deportation order. We'll return to Colombia to apply for an F-1. Could this affect the process, and how should we discuss the prior asylum case? All I could tell is you're going to have to be truthful. If they're asking you about that asylum case, they already know the answer, that you were removed from Australia. I would imagine, Stephanie, that the United States and Australia share some information
I would think so.
regarding removal of people. So when you're applying for a visa at the U.S. consulate in Bogota, the reality is that they're going to know about that. There's not a question on the DS-160 in reference to that, I would say, because the question is, have you ever been removed from the United States?
Yeah, I don't think there's any.
There's no question about that. Can they? I'm just telling you this. If they ask you about it, be truthful.
Correct.
Obviously. Okay. And you're going to tell, could this affect the process? I believe it can. And I have seen people, for example, that have had Canadian asylum denied, Colombian nationals with Canadian asylum denied, then be denied for visas in the U.S. because this is a person that has immigrant intent in the eyes of a U.S. consular officer, and obviously they're correct. The person does have immigrant intent, and they'll deny the visa. If you currently have a B2 visa, I'm not sure, Kellyanne, if you do have a B2, my suggestion is to enter the U.S. as a B2 and do a change of status from B2 to F1 here. If that works for you, remember that you'll be stuck here in the U.S. for a bit of time. You're not going to be able to travel outside the U.S. going that fashion. If you do not have a B2, then you're kind of stuck with applying for the F1 directly at the U.S. consulate and kind of, taking your chances with it.
Georgie Quiroga says he sent us the resume to schedule an EB-1 appointment. I promise you that was probably me. I'm going to take a look at it, Georgie, to see if that's hanging out, and we'll go ahead and make an appointment.
I guarantee you.
He guarantees it's me, and
I guarantee you, Georgie, it's not me.
No, it's me.
Do I not bother you daily?
All the time.
I bother her daily with this stuff.
Okay? All the time.
All the time.
But it was a probably Thanksgiving one, and I'm doing it today. And it's
a couple weeks ago, bro.
No. Georgie's exaggerating.
Exaggerating? Yeah. Georgie, what's a couple weeks between friends?
No. I promise.
Go ahead.
Let's see. I have a prior career abroad and a current master's. How do I package both as O-1 evidence? If the prior career abroad connects to your master's degree and what you're doing on the OPT, then yeah, we can utilize everything together. But let's say your career abroad was as an actor.
How about this? She's a pole dancer from...
You really had to take it there.
Why?
I mean...
She's a German pole dancer.
It's not like we don't do those.
She's a German pole dancer.
She's a German pole dancer.
And now she's a professor.
It's a guy. It's Jasper.
Okay, man. He's a male pole dancer.
Jasper is a male pole dancer.
Equal opportunity.
Pole sport, which is a sport.
It is a sport.
We have argued it as both athletics and dance.
And both dance sports, yes.
So we were prior career of pole dancer. And now we have a master's in culinary arts.
Ooh, yes.
And we cannot package all of that evidence together.
No. We're going to go with chef. We'll go with chef. Or
well, it looks better on the evidence, truly.
But it looks better on the pole. So the thing is this, Jasper. Okay. So we have to go with whatever career is a little bit better. And then if we can combine the things, I'm always looking for kind of an umbrella.
If it's possible.
If it's possible, it's advisable.
I don't know the pole and culinary.
Okay, I think we're a little, we're off there. I'm pretty sure Jasper used to be like a solicitor or something.
Okay.
Let's
think of one that we could do like as an umbrella.
Oh, I mean, I got it. Like you could be a dancer your whole career and you want to be an actor, which is what you were mentioning. Yeah. So then it's like, hey, my entire career is dancing. Well, you know what? It's all performance. Call yourself a performer. And then I knocked it out. I'm a producer that does post-production. I do 3D video production. I do all these different things. I'm also a director for my own, where do I go there? Probably producer. Right. I'm probably going to go producer. So it really depends on if the careers truly are not compatible, then
You
I
have to
would
choose
say
one.
we got to choose one. Probably what he studied the master's in. Okay.
And then, but now he's got to utilize the OPT period to gather evidence in that career, right? So you have to utilize the OPT period to what?
Nothing.
Okay.
I'm just no longer paying attention.
Okay.
I'm moving on.
All right.
I'm going to, I was just Spanish. This is the English show, but I'm going to read it in English, Alejandro. EB-1 approved. My wife has a J-1 with the 2-year residency requirement abroad, meaning that you must have a J-1 waiver. What are the steps, real times, to do the waiver? A real-time J-1 waiver is taking approximately 9 to 12 months. I would say closer to 9 months on average, what I'm saying. Process from Spain. Well, if you're spending the requisite amount of time outside the US, she does spend the 2 years, then she's not going to be subject to it. She doesn't need a waiver. But assuming she does need a waiver, I would say file that as soon as possible. And then after the waiver is approved, immigrant visa processing so I'll just give you an example. After the EB-1 approval, you're now going to be in touch by the NVC. The NVC is going to be the one that's going to kind of request all the documentation, the DS-260, all this stuff. Before you submit all these things and get everything documentarily completed with the NVC, you must have an approval of that J-1 waiver. When that J-1 waiver is approved, then you're going to also submit those documents with the NVC. Then they're probably going to set an appointment, I don't know, another 6+ months after that in Madrid. I believe you said you were in Spain. Okay. You cannot present the NVC, in my opinion, you could start the NVC process, submit some basic things, maybe the DS-260, but I'm just saying that you're not going to get to the completion phase of that until the J-1 waiver is approved. I would not proceed with it. I would not submit the DS-260. I would not do any of those things until I'm at that stage. Keep in mind that when you're talking about consular process, you must check in at least one time a year. If not, they will close that case. Okay. Sorry for the English response, but it's
the English show,
episode
5.
How about, can we talk about,
I didn't understand.
Can we talk about the William Shakespeare?
He looks cool.
With sunglasses as being part of the English show.
You're just really adding it up. What happened to Christmas Santa?
I had to.
Tropical Christmas
Santa. I dropped him because I thought it didn't really look as cool as this thing looks.
No, this thing looks very cool.
Yeah, this thing.
Also, I'm not sure if people on the English show know about the whole tropical,
They're not into the tropical's more my Latino life.
Because it's like by the way, we're tropical because we're Miami,
I think people understand tropical. Anyways, I have a bird right here that I don't bring out for the English show.
We cannot show that on the English show.
That's more of
people
the
Spanish
would think we're
show.
Insane. They will think we're crazy.
Can you go on? Because I have a question here that I need to research a little bit.
Oh, please, I will. Thank you, Wayne. This is a hot topic question. What will happen with the immigration pauses about the 19 countries? Will this affect EB-3 cases? Absolutely, it could affect EB-3 cases. If you're one of the 19 countries, we represent heavily one of those 19 countries. Can there be issues with green cards, visas, everything? Yes. I think there could be issues. They have not announced anything else other than, I believe it was 3 or 4 days ago, they came out with kind of like, how they do the policy or the proclamation, basically saying, hey, we're going to stop, issuing visas until these people are vetted properly. We're not going to be, so I'm not sure what extra vetting is going to mean. I will tell you something. I've been seeing a lot of strange occurrences recently over the last few days and last week as well, with USCIS requests for evidence on cases. I've seen already multiple where they are trying to claim, this is USCIS claiming, that they are able to pause immigrant visas and deny other visa types due to the presidential proclamation that they recognize in the request for evidence only applies to cases outside the US and not to people inside the US. But they say that they have the authority to use that as well if they wish. I'll tell you, that wasn't the intent of the presidential proclamation, because if that was the intent of the presidential proclamation, what they would have said is this applies to everybody in every situation. They specifically said that this exclusively applies to people outside of the US. So if you're applying for a visa at a US consulate and you're one of these countries that have issues, maybe they won't give you a tourist visa, student visa, maybe certain green card applications. So we represent some countries there that heavily that they're going through this outside of the US. We are now seeing it happen inside the US. I hope it's a very small group of people, officers, that are doing this. But if this becomes something across the board, I think it's going to become very problematic. Wayne, we need more information on the on what they mean by the extra vetting that needs to be done. We're not too sure what that's going to entail or mean. I do think it will affect processing times of cases, definitely.
Alrighty, I'm going to go to this monster question. I was checking to see if this has changed. It doesn't appear to.
Are you going to need my help? Part one of...
It was long. It was brutal.
Part
what do you
one
think
of
when I couldn't pay attention to you? What do you think I was doing? Basically, he wants to thank us he wants to thank the YouTube algorithm for putting us in touch with great and unbiased U.S. immigration information. He's Hong Kong born, currently living in Canada, looking to immigrate to the United States under the EB categories, 15 years of experience, which category? Visa bulletin falls for those people in Hong Kong. There is the question. So I had to research it a little bit because I remember in 2020, Trump did pass an executive order where he said that Hong Kong born will be considered China, and therefore they're subject to Chinese.
Can you please say it like him?
No, oh my God, get pena.
Can you say it like him?
No.
Okay.
All right. So pursuant to that executive order with Trump, Hong Kong was going to be considered a part of China, mainland China. So it's on the visa bulletin for China. What does that mean for individuals who are born on
That's
Hong Kong?
a great question.
So
great question.
Exactly. So it's like, so now the wait is exceptionally long because they're subject to visa bulletin.
Are they still subject to it?
It looks like yes. That's why I was saying it was in 2000 and it looks...
Off the top of my head, I was going to say yes.
It looks like Biden never overturned it. And obviously we're in another Trump administration, so they definitely wouldn't overturn it. I'm looking directly at the FAM, and the FAM appears to also have that chargeability. So it looks like you are subject to China visa bulletin. Now, that being said, Zheng, if you are married and your spouse was not born in Hong Kong or China, was born elsewhere, you can utilize your spouse's chargeability.
Yeah,
so keep that in mind. It's cross-chargeability.
Yeah.
Maybe that's a way out. Yes, unfortunately, you're going to want to go EB-1 because that's going to be the quickest one for a Chinese born, which is in your situation, you're going to be applied to Chinese born. But if your spouse is not one of the countries that gets affected by the visa bulletin, you can utilize your spouse's chargeability. So maybe that's a way to get out of it.
It's not horrible. January 23rd. When can you get? Okay, May 23rd. NVC cases.
It's not even that
so
bad.
you know, I'm saying it's 2 years.
Yeah.
Plus 6 months, more or less.
If you don't want to marry your Canadian spouse, then it's not that bad. It's 2 years.
I'm sorry, he has a Canadian spouse?
Well, I just gave him a Canadian spouse because that's one way to avoid chargeability.
I was in Canada last week. It was nice.
There you go. You see?
Yeah, it was very nice.
You did have a wonderful time.
Very nice people. Very nice.
But yes, so you are in fact subject to the longer wait time, but consider an EB-1 because honestly, 2 years is not that bad.
I know, but it's easier for us to say.
Well, you got two options. Find a Canadian spouse or wait 2 years. But definitely what I mean to say is if you're between choosing EB-1 and EB-2, do the homework to get an EB-1 because it'll be quicker. Does that sound better?
Oscar. Hey, Oscar. Graduate students MBA transition to O-1. Oh, yeah. We do that. A lot of business stuff, a lot of, man. Like that one, I could do MBA. MBA is already a professional. So for me, an MBA is a professional. They probably already performed a lead and critical role, maybe for companies, maybe a financial services company that they were an analyst for, and they were, responsible for $100 million of people's funds, and this is a person that clearly is performing a lead and critical role. Let me get that person a little bit of membership. Maybe they have their certified, what is this? A stock license, a Series 6 license. Okay. Maybe they have membership over organization. Not that difficult to maybe get some articles published in business, publications, this type of thing. That case could go again, 0 to 100 real quick. I like business cases. Yes, they're very good.
Whoa. This is a loaded question. El papá del helado. Does USCIS have the subject matter literacy to fairly judge extraordinary ability across such different fields, and how is that ensured? Well,
I think they have the subject literacy, and a few years ago, what they did, I just want you to know something. For many years, I had a client that would call me El Papá del Helado. Yeah.
Del helado?
For many years.
Wait, why?
He would call, I don't know, like I was supposed to be like the best or whatever. So they call it Papá del Helado or whatever.
Does that mean you're the best? Is that like
I don't know what he was saying.
phrase?
I don't know that he would call me that for years or whatever, but he would say it in a very nice way, not in a derogatory way. Anyways, this is what we understand. USCIS at some point, Stephanie, went ahead and realized that subject matter literacy really matters. Okay. And so there's supposedly, let's just say, consultants from different industry and organizations that could discuss things. Now, this could be a very good thing or a very bad thing. It could be a very good thing if they have more literacy in the subject matter. It could be a very bad thing if they're being taught by biased organizations that, for example, are U.S. labor unions. Okay. So if they're talking about what is a top actor, because it's an acting organization, acting labor union that's giving the advice to the USCIS officers, that could be a problem because in their opinion, what a top actor is really very different than what Congress intended with the legal statutes. So I think there is some of that, but probably not enough, I would say.
And then there's, I think, a couple of extra points to point out. So they do have the policy manual, which provides several examples across many, many industries. For instance, the policy manual goes into detail discussing things like the Nobel Prize, the DGA awards. It goes into a lot of detail into several awards. They do have that as a reference. And do know that USCIS officers are permitted to use the internet. So they can conduct open web sources and open web research and their own individual research. So let's say you submit evidence of earning some sort of award or nomination, they can actually sit there and go online and try and look and see what this is and what they evaluate as their importance. So do take note that this isn't in a closed world, right? They're not evaluating your case in a closed world.
I'm having a little bit of an issue because El Papá del Helado is also this guy who has a different picture.
That's so
This
bizarre.
is the Twilight Zone. Is it smart to say yes to every invite? Yes.
Wait, what?
Event, groups, associations. Yes.
No, but I saw that question earlier and I don't think it was that person.
It's a good question. Yeah.
What's
So
happening?
I would say, yes, I suggest everything you have an opportunity, because you just never know what's going to really hit,
Right.
So as much as you can, like, listen, I know it's a lot of work. Like, it's a lot of work to be involved in so many things, but I think the net positive is there for people. Definitely. I suggest doing it. Yes. I'm just going to hit this question, even though I'm Mexican with job offer as the teacher in a U.S. school. Can this position qualify for a TN? There is no TN teacher that I'm aware of, not a school teacher. This category is limited to college or university only. It may be, actually, the thing is, I've never done a professor TN or a teacher TN before. Does that exist?
No, I'm pretty sure it was what you were saying. I think it's only college professors.
No, right. But I'm saying, like, not a normal,
I don't think it's anything other than
not a
college
normal
professors.
school district. School districts are going to do J1 visas and they're going to do
Or
H1B visas. Okay.
Yeah, confirmed. TN is only university level,
Right.
college university.
Okay, perfect. So you can obtain those jobs, Claudia, but you do need to have a J1 or an H1. The interesting thing about the J1 is it could go on for a while, 5 years. The H1B is superior though, because you're not going to be subject to a J1 waiver. The very interesting issue about J1s, especially for teachers, and I've seen this with multiple clients, the DS 2019 for the J1 visa is what states if you're subject or not to the 2-year residency requirement back in your home country of Mexico. Now, the visa says one thing, you're subject to it. Maybe the DS 2019 says you're not. That DS 2019 is renewed yearly for school contracts. So we've seen where one DS 2019 says that she's subject, another one she's not, that she's subject, that she's not. If any of them say that you're subject to it, then you must do a J1 waiver. That's a little bit of a headache for a teacher and not that easy, but we have won them, okay? But H1B would be superior, and there's a ton of school districts supposedly that do H1Bs previously. Now, with everything that's happening, I can't imagine that any of those school districts are doing that. So you may be stuck with the J1 visa.
I've got a question from Eric. Hey guys, day 37 on premium processing, Nebraska, EB-2 NIW, rest of the world, anything wrong? So remember, Eric, EB-2 NIW for premium processing is 45 business days. Remember, we just had Thanksgiving, we're coming up on Christmas, so wait a second because that answer is coming. But EB-1 is 15 days premium processing, but EB-2 NIW is 45 days premium processing.
Also, if it's business days, right? So
that's what I just said.
Yeah. So
I just said you're not listening to me.
Just take into consideration.
Because we had Thanksgiving and Christmas is coming.
I'm not sure if this was explained to you, but it's business days. So sorry. Okay.
Thanksgiving. That's like 2 days less.
What do you think about the chances of an RFE at day 37? Go.
No, I don't want to say it out loud.
Say it. He wants to know it. This is what Edgar's tuning in for.
I think if they would have approved the case, they would have already done it.
I think they would have approved already. You're probably going to get an RFE. Oof. Sorry, bro.
Why would you make me say that?
I'm sorry. Edgar, I like what he's doing, though. He's an architect. Okay, now we know a little bit more about him. So he's an architect. So that's pretty good, EB-2 NIW.
No, this is a new guy.
Is that another Edgar?
It was Eric and Edgar.
I'm so sorry, Edgar.
Estás mal.
I'm sorry, Eric. This is the English show. You got to say, it doesn't translate well.
You are bad.
You are bad. Hello, I'm an architect. Approved EB-3. Great. Priority date November 23. Yeah, not great, but not horrible. What is it? July 23 right now? EB-3? EB-3 is July 15th, 2023, I believe. Canceled TPS. Applied for F-1. Do you think O-1 is a good option? After that O-1 is actually approved, Edgar, I would totally go for an O-1. We do a lot of O-1 architects. I like that case. The work that you do, the projects, leader in critical role for projects. Get some good letters of recommendation. Have a good job offer, maybe from an architectural firm or a construction company or something like that. Like I think that there's a case there to be done for an O-1 architect. Ideally, your membership, your license, all these things, they're very good contributing factor. Here's a question. Would you do, Stephanie, O-1A or O-1B for him?
O-1A. I like an architect O-1A. I love because a lot of the times these architects have their names indicated in like architectural magazines where they'll show like a project and they'll be like, oh, the leading architect on this project was, and I love those.
What if he doesn't have his license and we're not calling him an architect?
A consultant in architecture.
I'd probably go architectural designer and I would go O-1B.
Really?
I've done that many times. Yeah, I've done both. O-1A architect and O-1B.
With O-1B, sometimes what I'll do is they have a lot of experience also in interior design, and I'll almost pivot it into an interior design role, which doesn't require the license.
Love it.
Sometimes they have that.
Love it.
Depends on what
designing
they have.
interiors,
By the way,
great O-1.
EB-3 is July 2023.
Ooh, I was right.
Yes.
Thank you. Alejandro keeps going. Part 2. If we wait for my wife's J1 waiver, what do I need to do with the MVC? Okay, you just need to touch base with the MVC. For example, you need to, if just by virtue of entering the online system, that's activity on there. Okay.
Is it?
That's how I understand it. Yeah. As long as
just
you
like going
just
in there?
logging in is activity on there.
Okay.
But I like to take it a step further. And I like for you to go ahead and if you're getting to the point that it's close to a year and you haven't submitted any of the civil documents or anything like that online or submitted the DS or submitted the payment. So one thing could be like, wait like 6 months, then submit the payment.
To buy yourself time.
That got you another year. Then put it on your calendar, okay? Keep track of it. And what you want to do is you want to contact the NVC directly via email, their online portal. They have it on Ask NVC, is that still a thing? Ask NVC. And you're able to enter in there and you're able to go ahead and put your case number, your information, say like, hey, this is the situation. I'm waiting for this document. So I want to continue with this process. As long as you're doing that, they're not going to terminate you. And you only have to do that once a year.
I like that. Because remember, if you don't do it once a year, they will make you pay the fee again just to reactivate the case.
Yeah. Also, you could consider, is your wife the principal, Alejandro? If she's the principal of the case, what do you think? I don't like bifurcating it. I guess it would be him to do his immigrant visa process first and get her later on. But the problem is that they're not going to. So he's at the stage that the MVC is going to email him and his wife and him are going to be part of the same online profile. And until both of those are submitted, they're not going to proceed to an immigrant visa interview regardless. So I guess if that would happen, Alejandro would have to reach out to the MVC, let them know that the wife is not applying for it at this time, get your immigrant visa approved, which will be much faster than waiting for your wife, and then filing a following to join petition for your spouse, which is going to take 9 months to be approved, and then start her NVC process.
It's taking a little less. We had one the other day, like 5 months.
I said, I'm wrong. It's like 5 months online currently. That's what it's saying. Okay. So that may be an option, Alejandro, but I don't love that option. I kind of rather you guys do it together.
I agree.
That's just me.
Keep the family together. All righty. We're going to go with Quiroga. Oh, I know why we probably didn't answer. And you were going to blame me.
What are you talking about?
He's on asylum.
How am I going to blame him?
That's probably why.
I'm sorry. Is this what? A guy asked for a consultation?
Yeah. Okay. With asylum.
People that have asylums pending, I generally don't do the consult.
That's probably what happened. But anyway, I can address it. And then regardless, we'll go back and look. With an asylum filed 1 month after the I-94 expired and the case currently in court, if an this is exactly why. If an EB-1 is approved, could they adjust status in the U.S. under INA 245K, or would they need to leave the country? Okay, so here's the situation. You filed the asylum after the I-94 expired. So you've already accumulated at least 1 month of unlawful presence. If the EB-1 is approved, your only option is to file that I-140 with premium processing. If you obtain an approval prior to hitting 180 days without unlawful 180 days from I-94 conclusion, you can file the adjustment of status. And assuming the visa bulletin is current, which it currently is, you can go ahead and file under INA 245K, not 245A. 245A is just generally for adjustment of status. But 245K permits you to have up to 180 days from your I-94 status. I'm going to have the person formally withdraw the asylum before I send that I-45, just out of an abundance of caution. That's my recommendation. But you need to do the EB-1 with premium, must, and it needs to be done now because you need to have time to be able to do it in the US.
Do you actually think he has 180 days?
That's what I'm saying. Like,
I'm almost sure he doesn't.
Asylum filed 1 month after the I-94 expired, case currently in court. Like, unless you filed the asylum yesterday.
I mean, the case is in court.
That's exactly what I'm trying to say.
So my point is there's no way for him to do that.
You see how you were going to blame me?
For what?
And you were going to get upset with me. But this is exactly what happened.
So you didn't respond to him?
No, I'm sure we responded. Anyway, we'll deal with it.
I don't love that.
But yeah, no. That's unless it's been less than 4 months, basically, since you filed that asylum, there's nothing to be done.
Listen, I'm going to say something, okay? There's a whole bunch of attorneys out there on social media saying that you could do that. I'm telling you 100% you cannot. Okay. So you cannot do that. If it's been more than 180 days since your I-94 expired, You're not legally able to do that. It's impossible. You cannot do it. Anybody that they send me sometimes, Stephanie, diatribes of 245A, explaining to me the legal statute and all the case law on it and everything. I appreciate the time they took for that. I tell them always the same thing. You are wrong. That is not true. You could consular process this case if you desire. It will require you to depart the U.S. Okay. And it's very risky, and the likelihood of success at a consulate is not necessarily high. But is there another option?
Wait for your asylum to be denied.
Not for that EB-1, or fight out the asylum in court. I mean, that's really is.
Well.
That's the English show.
That is the English show. Thank you for being with us, guys. For those of you that had questions in Spanish, you can find us on Thursdays at noon, same place on YouTube. Go ahead and feel free to share with your friends because we are here providing some free information.
Hey, I like that the algorithm picked us up.
I do love that. I was going to exactly say that. So Zheng Ching, that is so cool that we made it to Canada on the YouTube algorithm. Nice. We answer these questions live every week on Tuesdays at 4 p.m. Eastern.
Thank you, guys. Take care.
Thank you.